Right, imagine a government in so much trouble that success is measured by simply surviving another day. Imagine a Prime Minister and Chancellor more worried about their own backbenchers than the voters who elected them. Imagine a Labour government that has taken taxes to an all-time high, promised nothing but economic misery for the next 5 years and is clinging to power by its fingernails. This is where Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are right now. And according to sources close to the palace, King Charles is reportedly wanting them out at absolutely any cost. Stay with British royal family because this political crisis is about to explode into constitutional territory. Quick favour, if you're already gripped by this government implosion, smash that subscribe button right now. Over 92% of you have not yet. It is completely free, takes 1 second and genuinely means everything to us. Cheers if you did. Right, let us talk about what it means when a government has lost the plot this completely. Starmer and Reeves arrived in government on the back of a manifesto promised to deliver change. They arrived with a colossal majority. They arrived with a host of urgent tasks and enormous opportunity. And what have they done? They have squandered it all. They have taken taxes to an all-time high. They have broken their manifesto promises repeatedly. They have implemented policies designed to satisfy neither the voters nor the markets. They are clinging to power, trying to pacify Labour MPs on one side and international bond traders on the other, with absolutely no strategy for actually governing the country. A government is in serious trouble when its two most senior members chalk it up as a win if they simply live to fight another day, when they celebrate just surviving another week in office, when the measure of success is not what they have accomplished, but that they have not been overthrown yet. That is where Starmer and Reeves are. That is the level of desperation we are talking about here. And when those senior members worry more about their backbenchers than the voters, when they spend their time managing internal party rebellion rather than serving the British people, then their time in power is hurtling towards an end. Starmer is spending more energy keeping his own MPs in line than he is spending on governing. That is a government in free fall. That is a government that has lost all sense of purpose. Compare this to Tony Blair. Blair relished dragging his party out of its comfort zone. He was willing to make difficult decisions. He was willing to take on his own party if he believed it was right. He had a vision. He had ambition. He had a plan for transforming Britain. And his government had a massive majority to deliver it. Starmer has a massive majority and has used it to do absolutely nothing except raise taxes and break promises. This government has curled up on the left. It is as if it is determined to fulfil every stereotype of a tax and spend Labour government. Every single one. Higher taxes, more welfare spending, no growth strategy, no reform agenda. Just the same old tired left-wing policies that have never worked and never will work. The freezing of income tax thresholds for another 3 years beyond 2028 will enrich the Treasury by £12.7 billion by 2031. That is £12.7 billion squeezed out of working people. £12.7 billion taken from their pockets to fund welfare spending. And what do the British people get in return? According to the Institute for Fiscal Studies, average disposable income will grow by only 0.5% over the next half decade. 0.5%. For millions of Britons, things will not get better. Things will stay the same or get worse. The Chancellor has failed to give the country any reason to hope for anything better than what the IFS describes as lacklustre economic growth and stagnating living standards. Lacklustre growth, stagnating living standards. That is what Starmer is offering Britain. That is what 4 more years of his government looks like. Stagnation, despair, decline. Starmer and Reeves must absolutely know they cannot win a general election. If this is the best they offer, they must understand that no government in human history has been re-elected on a platform of higher taxes and lower living standards. The question is, whether they still believe they have any shot at staying in power at all. Because right now that shot looks increasingly impossible. Tom Smith of the Tony Blair Institute said the budget underlines the urgent need for a bold plan for growth. In other words, Labour does not have one. Labour has no growth strategy. Labour has no plan to make Britain more prosperous. Labour has no vision for the future. It just has higher taxes and welfare spending. That is it. That is the entire agenda. The temptation for Starmer and Reeves will be to give up on the next election entirely. Then the temptation will be to stop worrying about winning and instead funnel cash into the left's favourite causes. They will try to claim they used their time in power to do some good, to help the poor, to redistribute wealth, to satisfy their ideological base. That will be their pitch for posterity. But it will not work. It will not save them. And it will damage Britain catastrophically, because if prosperity dies on their watch, if growth stops, if living standards stagnate, then future generations of Britons will be denied world-class health services and education. Our armed forces will face a dangerous world underfunded. Ambitious young people will leave the UK in search of fulfilling work abroad. Britain will decline. The nation will weaken. And all because Starmer and Reeves prioritised ideological purity over actual governance. King Charles is reportedly watching all of this with growing alarm. The King understands what Starmer apparently does not, that a prosperous Britain is a strong Britain, that economic growth is not a luxury, it is a necessity, that higher taxes and lower living standards do not help anyone, not the poor. Not the middle class, not anyone. They just make everyone worse off. The palace is reportedly pushing for a change in government, not through direct intervention, which would be unconstitutional, but through pressure, through the networks and the institutional weight that the Crown carries, through making it absolutely clear that the current government is unacceptable, through suggesting that perhaps it is time for something different, someone different. A government led by someone who understands that you cannot tax your way to prosperity. Starmer promised change. He delivered stagnation. He promised growth. He delivered decline. He promised to help working people. He squeezed them harder than any government in decades. He came to power with an enormous majority and every possible advantage, and he has frittered it all away on failed policies and broken promises. The real question now is what happens next. Does Starmer somehow survive until the next election, presiding over a government in complete collapse? Do his backbenchers finally have enough and force him out? Does the palace make a more direct move? Does the electorate simply decide they have had enough and vote him out the moment they are given the chance? Whatever happens, this government is finished. Starmer and Reeves are finished. Their time in power is ending. The only question is how much damage they will do on their way out, how much they will damage Britain's economy, how much they will weaken the nation, how much they will set back the cause of prosperity and reform. The King wants them out. The backbenchers want them out. The voters want them out. The only people who seem not to have figured it out yet are Starmer and Reeves themselves, who continue to cling to power with increasingly desperate measures and increasingly hollow promises. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one.